Welcome to Lesson 2, which is dealing with Topic 1 in the textbook. Today I'm going to teach you about organic and inorganic substances and talk about how they're important for the health and well-being of humans as well as plants. If we're going to talk about these substances, let's begin with a short little video clip from Brain Pop.
You really need to control your appetite. Dear Tim and Moby, what type of food is healthy for you to eat? I know a lot of foods that are healthy for us, but what are your suggestions? From Winner. Well, that's a start, Moby. But the key to healthy eating isn't about eating one food and not the other. It's about eating a balanced diet. When you feel hungry or thirsty, that's your brain telling you that your body needs some fuel. The human body needs nutrients to work. We are heterotrophic, which means that we get our nutrients from eating food. Nutrients supply your body with energy and the substances that it needs to grow and stay healthy. These include fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. Carbohydrates and fats are used as fuel to keep the body going. When you exercise, you burn carbohydrates first and then fat. Protein is used to build new parts for the body, as well as repairing old parts. You don't live off these three nutrients alone. There are vitamins and minerals that also play a part in keeping your body healthy. Calcium, for example, builds strong bones, and vitamin E is good for your skin. And there's lots more. I think the pizza wins, but, everything's okay in moderation. Well, alright, take a look at the food pyramid. It tells you what foods you need a lot of, and what foods you need less of. Each color represents a different food group. The amount you should eat from each group is shown by how wide the color is. Orange, the grains food group, is the widest. This includes stuff made from wheat, cornmeal, rice, and other cereal grains. Your body needs these foods the most because they're mainly carbohydrates. Right, for this group you want to eat more whole grain foods like whole wheat bread, brown rice, and oatmeal instead of refined grains like white bread and white rice. Next up, vegetables, the green stripe. Raw, cooked, frozen, or juiced, vegetables are a good source of vitamins and minerals. Fruits are rich in vitamins and fiber, and they satisfy your appetite without a lot of calories. No one expects you to chug a glass of oil, but try to eat foods high in vegetable oils like nuts, olives, and avocados. Milk products are a great source of protein and calcium, but try to find the low-fat or non-fat choices. Meats are high in protein, but some are high in fat too. So try to satisfy the purple stripe with leaner meats and plenty of fish, beans, and nuts. A balanced diet is one that includes foods from each of these groups every day. Oh, and the steps are there to remind us that exercise is an important part of the healthy diet. How much of each food group you should eat depends on several factors, including age, exercise, and gender. Well, you don't have to avoid fat and sugar completely, but you should definitely keep it as low as possible. All of you vegetarians out there should fill your nutrition needs in different ways. If you're a serious vegetarian or vegan, consult your doctor to be sure you're getting all the nutrients you need.
All right, let's go to the lesson slides then. So let me discuss nutrients with you. Nutrients, when it comes to humans, can be thought of in two ways. Some nutrients in our bodies we call inorganic. Examples are things like minerals and vitamins. However, nutrients in our bodies that are classified as organic are needed in large amounts, or we call it macro amounts in our bodies. And these are carbohydrates, proteins, sugars, a little bit of fat, the things that you heard on the Brain Pop clip. And how do you decide the difference between inorganic and organic? Well, if we looked at the chemical formulas of organic versus inorganic, we'd see a huge difference. So let's go to the next slide for a minute. Here are a number of chemical formulas, and let me see if I can help you identify which ones are organic and inorganic. One rule of thumb about organic substances has to do with the following. They usually contain hydrogen and carbon. Notice how I said usually. If you look at the straight definition, an organic substance would be one that is carbon containing with a number of hydrogen and oxygen and a few other derivatives. But the backbone of an organic molecule is carbon, whereas inorganic have no carbon backbone in its chemical formula. So let's see if I can identify some things here with you. Let's look at this one. CH4. Is it organic or inorganic? Well, it's got carbon and hydrogen in the backbone, and so we would say this one is O for organic. Let's look at this one, calcium oxide. Any carbon backbone in there? I see a calcium, I see an oxygen, but no carbon, and so we would classify this as I for inorganic. How about NO2? Organic or inorganic? Any carbon in there? Nope. So again, this one would be I for inorganic. C2H5OH. I see a carbon here with some other stuff attached. And so this one would be organic. CO2. Again, a carbon with some other things attached to it. So this would be organic. This one, no carbon in there, so this one's inorganic. And this one, right there, also inorganic. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the difference between organic and inorganic. Let's go back a slide. The macronutrients in our bodies basically have to do with what we eat in our diet. And so as you saw before, our bodies need large amounts of carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acid. Now, we see here that our diet, the food we eat, help provide for us these substances. Let's look at the diet for a minute. Here are some typical examples of food sources. So carbohydrates, we get that from things like potatoes, grains, rice. Fruits give us a specific kind of carbohydrate, which is sugar. So sugar kind of falls in that category. There are simple sugars like glucose, and there are longer chain sugars. Proteins, we get meat, eggs, dairy, and nuts, and fats we get from these things. Now, the Canada Food Guide is our approach at understanding what our daily amounts should be to have this balanced diet. And it used to be in a pyramid, but they've changed it to more of a rainbow shape. And the rainbow has meaning. So see how long this rainbow is? These are our grain products, and we need mostly or more of these. The second one is the vegetables and fruits, and the rainbow isn't quite as long, which means we need a little less of those on a daily basis. Then this one is our milk group, and finally our meat group, which we need the smallest amount of according to how the rainbow works. So a balanced approach is based on our Canada Food Guide, which is now a rainbow, not a pyramid. One interesting thing that you should note when you read food labels help tell us how much fat, how much carbohydrate, and how much protein so that we can try and decide whether we're eating a balanced diet. But the other thing you may notice, on most food labels, the first substance listed on the food label indicates what it's made most of. And then the second substance means second most of, and so on. So, for example, this salad dressing, it's mostly water. And as we go along the ingredients, we see some of the other things that are in it. Let's keep going. Let's talk about plants for a minute now. Unlike humans, plants have it the other way around. Their macronutrients are inorganic substances. They need nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in large amounts. The reason they don't need large amounts of organic substances is because plants are phototrophs, or they make their own food through photosynthesis. So they don't need to consume organic substances because they already make organic substances. And so nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which are I for inorganic, are their major substances that they need. And then they need minor amounts of all sorts of other things. Now, a bag of fertilizer, when you buy fertilizer, it has the three substances, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in it. And it'll usually come with a bag, and it'll have those three numbers. For example, it might be 5, 10, and maybe another number like 2. Those numbers in this order stand for the amount of nitrogen, right there, the amount of phosphorus, and the amount of potassium, in that order. And incidentally, in our bodies, protein helps build muscle, milk helps build strong bones, carbohydrates give us energy. Well, in the case of plants, nitrogen, its job in a plant is to help stimulate photosynthesis, and it'll turn the plants nice and healthy green. In the case of phosphorus, it helps stimulate seedling growth. So seedlings get those little tiny seeds going. And the last one, potassium, this one helps stimulate reproduction through flowering, or their reproductive units. So it helps stimulate reproduction. Here are some more examples. There's our big three, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium in plants. So again, the importance helps in chlorophyll to turn the plants green. In the case of phosphorus, helps a little bit in root and flower growth, and potassium. And that's my clip, or my little section on